how much, how much suffering are we going to allow? And we have the capability of choosing our suffering. And it kind of boils down, or kind of goes back to some of the Stoic uh, practices, um, of thinking of the things that would most impact you, in the most negative ways, and then becoming okay with those things, if they were to be or not to be.
Yeah.
Because life is pain, life is suffering, and every day it's going to be that. So we have that opportunity, the God-given domain, to choose our suffering. Like, it's going to be painful, but what do we want to suffer for? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and just, I guess, understanding that concept um, allows me to really understand where my focus goes, my energy flows. So I, for one, am a man who can't sit on the pity pot. I
Hmm.
self-loathing is death to me, and owning my own life means that I have to own all of it. You know, and kind
Right.
of like what we were talking about earlier, owning the fact that I probably do the things in my life at 10% capacity, and being able to own that, take a honest self-assessment, and go, okay, I have to accept where I'm at right now in order to ever gain ground.
Right.
And then kind of taking a look at the things that I'm striving for, and looking at what fears are driving those, because 9 times out of 10 I'm fear driven. In
Right. Right.
some sort of way, and my self-delusional thoughts will convince me that I'm doing this because, and then whatever justification I can come up with.
Right. Right. Yeah,
So
I get that. Um, there was a time where God really spoke to me in a powerful way through a situation, but I'm constantly deleting stuff on my phone to make room for storage, and so I delete my maps a lot. It tells me where I'm located and different stuff. So I'm lost. I'm like totally lost, and so I put the maps in and I put the address where I'm going, and I have bad internet reception throughout, so it couldn't even find my location, right? And so I had to like scramble to find out really where I was located to get to my destination. But after I meditated on that at night, um, it was just a strong reality came to me to just really look at where you're at. We're always constantly trying to get to our location, right? But in that moment, I couldn't move anywhere if I didn't acknowledge where I was. I couldn't really discover and accept where I was at the moment. And I find that a little bit what you're talking about here. But you reminded me of a thought about this suffering that you know we talked about last week. I wanted to be the water off a duck's back. I wanted to be that kind of person that is not easily disturbed. Um, I didn't want to be like the disciples in the boat with Jesus, where they're freaking out and they're creating all these scenarios about the end of the world and how they are going to die, and that's pretty much what everybody's, half the population in the United States is doing today, as far as fear, that fear thing that you're talking about, the fear nature. Um, but um, I was listening to something recently, and it was talking about suffering twice, and the suffering twice is fearing the thing in the future that might come upon you,
right.
and so you're suffering in that moment, and then of course you possibly might suffer in the future, and so you bring it, project it into the now, so now you're suffering, and then when it comes you're going to be suffering also because of you allowed the fear. But there's a good possibility that what you fear is not even going to happen, So either way, you're suffering. And I'm like,
Right.
Lord, you know what I mean? Because that's this nature that we're talking about. You know, when people say, man, this, you know, we're sinners and we're evil and all this stuff, but when it comes down to, it's just this fear-based, insecure nature
Yep.
that that is driven by fear and insecurities. Exactly, what you're talking about. It's just amazing.